we come on types of control statement, there are two types. One is selection statement and one more is iteration statement. Whatever condition we have, under that if the condition satisfied, then true statement it will execute. If the condition is not satisfied, then it will come out from the concept, especially here it will exit from that loop. To find the second largest, first we'll find a plus b plus c, then we'll subtract with largest plus smallest, then I can get which is the second largest. Welcome back to one and all. Myself, Vasanta, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Today, we are going to start with the first session of control statements. Whereas in the annual exam, from this chapter, you will get 11 marks. Because in part A, you will get one question for 1 marks, as well as in part D, you will get 2 questions. Because each question carries 5 marks there, then totally here 10 marks, here 1 marks, then finally 11 marks you will get from this chapter. Whereas on today's session, you will study regarding what do you mean by control statements. Under that, types of control statements, that is selection statement, if statement, as well as if-else statement. First, we'll start regarding what do you mean by this control statement. The name itself suggesting that controlling. Consider we have few statements, statement 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Whereas if all the statements are executing one by one, then we used to call it as sequential selection. For example, yes1, then yes2, then yes3 like that. If I have all the statement one by one, if it is executing one by one, all the statement from the beginning till the end, then we used to call it as it's a sequential statement. Whereas control statement helps to control the sequence of statement, on which order or on which statement I want to execute. Depending upon my condition, depending upon my requirement, whichever statement we want, only we can able to select only that statement, depending upon the requirement. The name itself saying control statement. It will control the statement or alter the sequence of statements one by one. Whereas the control statements are the statements that alter the sequence of flow of instructions. One after the another, if all the statements are executing, then we used to call it as it's a sequential statement. Whereas under control statement, it helps to alter or change the sequence of execution of the statement. Any single input statement, assignment and output statement is a simple statement. A group of statements that are separated by semicolon and enclosed within a braces like open flower bracket and closed flower bracket is called as block or compound statement. If you have multiple statements, then we require this brackets to represent that belongs to particular group. Whereas the order in which statements are executed in a program is called flow of control. How exactly? First statement, second statement, one by one, all the statement usually it will execute. Whereas this, how exactly the statements is going to execute, that is nothing but flow of control here. When we come on sequential, all will execute one by one, whereas in control statement, we can able to control which statement we want to execute or which statement we are not supposed to execute. Like that, we can able to control here. When we come on types of control statement, there are two types. One is selection statement and one more is iteration statement. Whereas under selection statement, the name itself saying that selection, it is the ability of the programming language to execute the statement depending upon the requirement, depending upon the condition. Whichever condition we want, we can able to take here. But when we come on this selection statement, there we have if statement, if-else statement, if-else, if statement, nested statement, as well as switch statement. There are 5 types under selection statement: if-else, if-else if, as nested, as well as switch statement. Whereas selection statement is nothing but selecting the statement depending upon the requirement, depending upon the condition. Whereas iteration statement is nothing but It's the ability of the programming language to execute the statement repeatedly, again and again. When I want to display some statement 100 times or 5 times, 3 times, then we are using iteration statement. It is the ability of the programming language to execute the statement again and again. That is iteration statement. Now we'll discuss about selection statements. What exactly the selection statements will do? This statement allows us to select a statement or a set of statements for execution based on some condition. Whichever statement we want, we can able to execute in a list of statements depending upon the requirement. How the user want on that way, depending upon the condition, we can able to display the statements here. It is also known as conditional statement because here we are applying the conditions. This structure helps the programmer to take appropriate decision. The programmer can decide whichever statement they want to execute here. When we come on different types of selection statements, under that we have if statement. This if statement is also called as one-way branching. If-else statement, whereas this if-else statement is called as two-way branching. Then if-else if statement, nested if statement as well as switch statement. These 5 will come under selection statement. Now under that, first we'll discuss about if statement. What exactly this if statement it will perform? It just execute the statement if the condition is true. If the condition is true, then only it will going to execute the statement. Otherwise, it will come out from the loop here especially. Whereas here, this is the simplest form of if statement. This statement is also known as one-way branching. Why it is called as one-way branching? For example, here we have condition. If condition, if this condition is true, then only the statement will going to execute. If the condition is false, then it just come out from the loop. That's why it is called as one-way branching. If it is true, then only the statement will execute. This statement is used to decide whether a statement or a set of statements should be executed or not. And the decision is based on the condition which can be evaluated to true or false. Depending upon the condition, true or false, whatever condition we have. Under that, if the condition is satisfied, then true statement it will go to execute. If the condition is not satisfied, then it will come out from the concept. Especially here, it will exit from that loop. When we come on if-else statement, the general form of if-else statement is first if condition. First, you have to write the condition. Then, if condition is satisfied, then statement 1 will execute. If the condition not satisfied, it will come to the statement 2 here. It means that it will just exit from the concept here. If you observe this flowchart, here if condition, is this condition satisfied? If it is true, then statement will going to execute. If the condition not satisfied, if it is false, it just exit from that particular loop here. Especially here, it will come to the next statement here. In the example, if you observe, if amount is greater than or equals to 5,000, then it will find out the discount. Discount equals amount into 10 divided by 100. That is 10% discount we are giving. If this condition not satisfied, it will not going to execute this discount condition. Directly it will come to the net amount. Here net amount equals amount minus discount. On that case, I will initialize discount equals 0. Then there is no any discount will be given here. It means that if the condition satisfied, then whatever thing in the next line that will execute. If the condition not satisfied, it will not going to execute. It just jump to the next statement here. This is regarding if statement. Now, we'll explain this if statement with one example program. Write a program to find the largest, smallest and second largest of 3 numbers using simple if statement. Using simple if statement. What do you mean by this? Largest, smallest, second largest. Consider we have 3 variables A, here B and one more is C. Here I am having 10, 20, 30 for example. Then what's the smallest element here? If you observe here in this case, the smallest is A, largest is here, this is the largest C. And If you observe second largest, that will come in between A and C. This is second largest here. Like this, we have to find out what is the smallest, largest as well as second largest. For that, first as usual, we will start with the header file #include iostream.h. This is a supporting header file for scene as well as cout function. Then next, we are using #include conio.h header file. This is a supporting header file for clear screen as well as getch function. Then afterwards, as usual, we will start with the main program, void main. First, we will declare which are the variables here. In the declaration section, we will declare the variable A, B, C. Each variable are separated by comma operator. Then afterwards, I am declaring another variables, largest, smallest as well as second largest. Then next, we are using clear screen function. To clear your output screen, we are required clear screen function. Then, in the output screen, I want to display enter 3 numbers. That's why we are using cout function to display the concept, especially in the output screen. Consider this is your output screen. There, what it has to display? Enter the 3 numbers. Then afterwards, I want to input all the 3 numbers. Whichever number you want, you can give. For example, I am giving 10, 20, 30. Input all the 3 values. First, I will assume the first one is the largest. That is, first what I will do? I will assume before processing, I will assume the first one is largest. Then I will compare with the remaining element. First, I will assume A is the largest. Then I will compare with B as well as C. Then I will find out which is the largest here. That's why largest equals A we assume. Then if B is greater than largest, that is if B is greater than A, because we assume A is the largest, then on that case it will display largest equals B. On that case it will check the largest is B. Whereas in this example, if you observe here, first I assumed 10 is the largest, then I will compare with the second one, B. If B is largest, then now we'll assume B is the largest element. Then once again, we'll compare that with the next one, that is C. Now here in this case, now we assumed B is the largest. Once again, I will compare with C. That is, if C is largest, then largest equals C. Then finally, when it compares with 20 with 30, then 30 become the largest. Then in the largest, it will take it as C here. Next, in the same way, if I want to find the smallest also, in the same pattern, how we are considering the largest, in the same way, the smallest also we can able to find out. That is, first we'll assume smallest equals A. Then we'll compare with the second element. If B is less than, smaller than, then smallest equals B. If C is less than smallest, then smallest is C here. Consider A, B and then C. 10, 20, 30. Whereas in the previous case, I find the largest. Now I am finding the smallest. Here first I will assume the first one is the smallest. Then I will compare with the second one. That is, if B is less than smallest, it will compare with the second one. Then on that case also, now the smallest is A only. Then once again it will compare with the third one. If C is less than smallest. That is, here once again it will compare with the last one. Then also A is the smallest. Then smallest equals C it will take. To find the second largest, first we'll find A plus B plus C. Then we'll subtract with largest plus smallest. Then I can get which is the second largest. Then display all the values. Smallest number equals smallest. Second largest number equals second large. And large number equals largest. Now is it clear? Then finally get it. Then close the main program. It means that here we can able to find the largest, smallest by using simple if concept. This simple if is also called it as one-way branching, because if the condition is true, then only statement will execute. That's why. Next, we'll move on the next one, if, else, if. Whereas under if, else statement, there, for example, you have one condition. If condition is true, statement 1 will execute. If condition is false, then statement 2 will execute. Finally exit. Here it means that for true also we have some statement. For false also we have alternative statement. Whereas on simple if condition is true, then only the statement will execute, otherwise it will exit. Whereas on if-else statement, what happens? If condition is true, then true statement will execute. If the condition is false, then false statement here it will go to execute. That's why it is called as two-way branching. This structure helps to decide whether a set of statements should be executed or another set of statements should be executed here. This statement is also called as two-way branching because two alternative ways is there. The general form of if-else statement is if test condition, then statement 1 will execute. If this condition not satisfied, then it will come to execute the second statement. Here it means that for true also we have some statement, for false also we have some statement. If this condition satisfied, then statement 1 will execute. If condition not satisfied, then statement 2 will execute. That's why here we are using else concept. For true also we have some statement. For false also, we have some alternative statement. If you observe the flow chart, here is condition. If it is true, then statement 1 will execute. If this condition is false, then statement 2 will execute. Then later on, it will exit. That is, it will come to the next statement. This is regarding if-else statement. Now, we'll explain one example. For example, if n percentage, if it is equals to 0, that means here if the remainder, if it is equals to 0, then the number is even number. Otherwise, else the number is odd number. Whereas this percentage symbol is used to find out the remainder. For example, I am going to give 4. Is it an even number or odd number? N represents 4. That I will divide by 2. Then 2 2s are 4. Here remainder I am going to get. If the remainder is 0, if it is equals to 0, then it will display it as even number. Otherwise, it will display it as odd number. For example, 5 I am going to give. 5 I will divide by 2. Then 2s are 4. Remainder 1. This is not an even number. On that case, alternative statement, it is odd number it will display. Now, is it clear? Now, we will explain the same concept if-else statement with one example program. There, if you observe, write a C++ program to check whether the given year is a leap year or not using simple, especially here, if-else statement. It means that we have to find out whether the given year is leap year or not. Then what do you mean by this leap year? On leap year, especially after 4 years once we'll get the leap year. On that case, especially on February month, the last day will be 29. Otherwise, it will be 28 only. Okay, then here, if you observe here, first as usual, we have to start with the header file. As include iostream.h. This is a supporting header file for scene as well as cout. Next, we are using as include conio.h. This is a supporting header file for clear screen as well as getCS function. Next, void main. Here we are declaring the variable int year. It means that now we are declaring one year of type integer format. For example, I am going to give 2000. Whether it's a leap year or not, I want to find out. That means n represents here 2000. Then enter the year in the form of 4 digits. Especially here I have given 4 digits. Then C in year. If year percentage, if it is equals to 0. If the remainder, if it is equals to 0, when I divided by 4. See here, 2000 will take, I will divide this by 4. Then, if the remainder, if it is equals to 0, then also we can say it's a leap year. And year percentage 100 if it is not equals to 0 or year percentage 400 is not equals to 0. On that case, we used to say that year is a leap year. Otherwise, else concept is there. If this condition is not satisfied, then it will come to the else part. Here it will display cout year is not a leap year. Then getCH. Then later on, we will close the main program. It means that by using if statement, we have only one statement we can able to display here. On that if condition, if it is true, if it is false, then it will exit. But when we come on if-else statement, there for true also we have some statement, for false also we have some alternative statement. Now is it clear? Then in the next class, you will come to know regarding the remaining concept like what do you mean by if-else if. Whereas on today's class, you have studied regarding if statement as well as if-else statement. Whereas in next class, you will come to know regarding what do you mean by if-else if statement, then what do you mean by nested if statement, then with that switch statement also you will study. Whereas if, else, if is nothing but we have alternative multiple conditions are there. When you come on nested if, inside one if statement, if you have one more if statement, then it can be called as nested if statement. Whereas in switch statement, only one conditions we have, but depending upon the label, that particular statement here it is going to execute. Regarding that, you will come to know in the next session. Thank you for all of you.